Hey guys, it's Cole, and this is going to be a very different style of video than what I was originally thinking that I do. As has become tradition on my channel, I do condensed summaries of information so people can get it really quick and easy. The summary for the job changes are that Dragoon and Astrologian will not be getting a rework in patch 6.2, but instead will have extensive reworks that require significantly more time to complete than timelines for 6.2 would allow. They were just stating that it was just too much was needed for these jobs reworks, and that was about literally all that we were told, and so I was obviously not going to do a video just on that. Whether that is good or not, or just ominous, is kind of up to you guys. To me, I personally am a little bit nervous, and that's why this video is taking a different turn, because I really want to discuss these announced changes and my thoughts on them. First off is, of course, this might seem cynical, and I don't want to just be like randomly negative, because I don't enjoy speaking negatively like that. It does come, though, off of the feet of some significant reworks that many parts of the community have felt negative about, such as the largely unpopular Samurai Chitin removal change. I am very much not a Samurai main. I obviously play Samurai, I enjoy it. It is a melee DPS I actually thoroughly enjoy, but my personal take is that rework was fine, though, because Chitin wasn't what I would consider engaging or riveting or actually adding complexity, other than you used it for every Midari Setsugeka or Heigenbana. But if you listen to the larger community, they resoundingly massively disagree with me, which honestly I'd trust what like the samurai mains that have been maining samurai for like 5-6 years have to say about it way over me, who only dabbles in it for fun. Like, have I cleared P3S on samurai? Yes, but largely I'm hearing like the vocal majority of long-term long-haul samurais say that's really bad. But I digress. We're not here to talk about samurai, but flipping onto a job that we are talking about here as well, for Astrologian, the card system reworks over the years, and especially now, have had majorly mixed reviews from the community. Make sure that your ultimate end goal of providing damage is intact from your card system, and made, if anything, easier with the current divination. Many people would argue too easy, and I don't want to really open Pandora's box here. From the long days of Eld, we used to fish for a straight damage buff, and that has been largely mitigated. The pre-pull, managing the cards and trying to fish out balances and waiting for pull timers and all that has been largely mitigated. But Astrologian's key identity of different cards of reading the tarot is frankly ruined, gone, destroyed. There's no real aspect to it anymore. Yes, cards you kind of suffer if you have 3 melee in the group. That's about as far as we're gonna get with that. Basically, the entire idea of like reading the tarot has been completely ruined, which is one of the foundations of Ast's identity. I don't think that's very controversial to say is one of Astrologian's core identities. It's not even getting into the fact that we are a very long way from the time mage kind of fantasy aspect of managing buff timers, which was very Astrologian and used to be a very core parts of the Astrologian's kit and identity, let alone the entire removal of Nocturnal Sect. We're not talking about, oh, Nocturnal Sect was reworked. Like, they literally gutted it and removed it from the game in Endwalker, which absolutely impacted me directly, and I am a healer main, and you know what, it's just like how I would give it to the samurais that we're talking about. Samurai, like, your boy Cole has been playing Astrologian Scholar and White Mage since before the days of time. So unfortunately, there is ground to be a bit concerned over what has been announced to be very extensive large reworks that are too big for just 6.2. So let's start off with Astrologian, which is something that is super strongly in my wheelhouse, as I just said, even though I've certainly played a lot of Dragoon this expansion as well. Heck, I just released a 7 reasons to play the Dragoon video earlier. I have a Dragoon ultimate guide from like a year and a half or something ago, but for Astrologian, my worries are more of a torrential flood than the men in Balmont. But I've said a bunch of times on this channel, I actually do really genuinely, truly, heartfelt miss Nocturnal Astrologian, and as someone who is currently maining Scholar and Sage, the barrier healer in me is very much prominent. So it's just like I stand behind that statement 100 times over. I feel like it was such a huge and saddening loss to the game's healer ecosystem. I love the Sage, obviously. I love the Scholar. I've been playing that shit since like literally around Reborn. It being added to the game was like, ooh, I love it. But losing Nocturnal Astrologian was such a jarring change, especially since Astrologian, since its release, was all about choosing Nocturnal or Diurnal stance and having the abilities, or like literally neutral sect is meant to be a blend between the two. So I'm just going to drop this point and move on, saying I did a video talking about what modern day Nocturnal Astrologian would look like at Endwalker today, and I think that it would be absolutely fucking amazing. I really do genuinely think it would have a spot in current day. In fact, with DSR's release, one could argue Nocturnal Ast would be beautiful in there. Like the mitigation, oh, that'd be so good, guys, so good. But my concerns are actually extending much farther to the card system, which is something that is iconic and massively essential for Astrologian and its identity, that if we lose or see the card system reduced even further, it's already been significantly reduced already in Endwalker, as I said, and I don't think that at this point, if we lose the card system on that we are going to have Astrologian anymore when we consider Nocturnal Stance was actually removed. That's not a joke. It's not me saying, oh, the sky's falling. Like, it was actually just removed, this expansion. Since Astrologian's release, the card system has been something that I truly, genuinely, 100% say that I enjoy, with its active gameplay style and acting as an engaging minigame, and seeing the card system be removed, potentially, again, we haven't had it confirmed, I would think would be a tragedy and further homogenize the healers. Astro is very active, and that's one of the biggest perks about Astro, is it's like you aren't just casting like Broil, or you aren't just casting Glare. It is got this mini game that you're doing at the same time. It feels so good. Obviously, White Mage has its own things. Scholar has Chain Stratagem that I've already made videos on my thoughts on years ago. I don't like Chain Stratagem. It's just a throw and forget ability. I want something more active, like give me more damage over time effects, like give me something active. But yeah, I really just think that the card system would further homogenize the healers, which that word homogenization is on my mind and many other players' minds for I don't want to say a long time, but for a good bit now. So obviously, I'm certain our developers that I love so much, like I cannot emphasize it enough. I love our developers. They are a blessing, have some great ideas in mind though, and won't let us down. But given what I said at the start of this video, removal of Nocturnal, the cards, the chitin, I do admit I feel a bit of concern, especially because healers is my main role, and it does concern me quite a bit. I enjoy variety in gameplay, as that's what keeps me going when I do get burned out on something. And now next up is the Dragoon. And right now, Dragoon being reworked extensively with what has been described as too much actually really surprises me as well as many others. A lot of people are like, oh, was it delayed because you're trying to find out who asked for this? Especially a major rework is admittedly shocking to me and most people that I talk to that have played Dragoon extensively. One of the jobs that I hear the most positivity towards is exactly the Dragoon. Heck, even myself, when I play the Dragoon, I feel a lot of fun. That's why I made a Dragoon Ultimate Guide like 2 bloody years ago. I love it. It feels very distinct even from the other melee jobs in Final Fantasy XIV. People are like, oh, well, 5 melee jobs, they play the same. No. Dragoon has a slower GCD and has more off GCDs. It feels totally different. I personally adore so many parts of the Dragoon's kit. The Dragoon life cycles, and then you have Nastron, then you have Stardiver. I can obviously go on and on, as my video on 7 reasons to play the Dragoon like proves. Like, there's obviously more than 7 reasons, but now we get to the turnaround. Is Dragoon perfect in its current state? No. Life Surge is a weird ability that's combining a defensive with a required mandatory to use offensive, and in any optimal opener, I don't think anyone with any credibility is saying don't use Life Surge in your opener. Life Surge guarantees a critical hit, and that makes it mandatory. It also pairs best with only Heaven's Thrust, which is the highest potency part of their like combo as they go through all of their different parts. Like, that is just the ideal combo for it. But like a rework to Life Surge, maybe even Life Surge being like removed, maybe you turn it into something like Monk's Riddle of Earth. There's a lot of different options here, but it's really kind of a mandatory ability, but it's also defensive. It's a bit weird. In fact, many people would be like, oh, it feels like busy work, so maybe it's just gonna be put in with Heaven's Thrust or something like that. Another thing that would be really cool for Dragoon is maybe a fast, quick way during an opener to get into Life of the Dragon window in the opener really quick, which it'd be really nice because right now it's so much more delayed, because that Life of the Dragon phase is so epic with the Nastrons and the Almighty Stardiver, which is just wicked. And the last thing I think about altering is Battle Litany, although this is a slippery slope. And why I say that is because if we universally say critical hit buffs should be reworked for this reason, now we're talking about changing Bard, Scholar, Dancer critical hit buffs, as well as just all, yeah, Basically, all critical hit buffs really get their relevance questioned. Because honestly, if you do change Dragoons, then me, as a Scholar main, bitch, you'd better not forget me with Chain Stratagem. Don't you dare forget about me. That'd only be fair. Don't leave me out of this. How dare you? As much as I hate Chain Stratagem, and I do stand by wanting it to be reworked into literally anything more active than a Throne Forgettability, an Object CD ability, no less, I really don't want to be left behind. I want to group up with samurais and warriors too, bro. Worst case scenario, machinist, samurai, you have warrior, and like, you get my drift. Even Dragoon. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Ever increasingly in 14's job design, there has been a push for jobs like warrior and samurai to have the most valuable parts of their kit, their biggest burst windows that they want in the raid buff window, which is like a super short, like 15-ish to 30-ish, some buffs like 30-ish second window where you want to push as much damage as you can. Of course, more jobs exist that have like this like critical direct hit guaranteed things, like you're talking about machinists reassembled, Dragoon themselves with life surge, we were talking about like warrior's phase. Like obviously there are very big concerns here, but my point, kind of to summarize the Dragoon concerns, is are Dragoons off GCDs in particulars ideal and perfect? No, but that's far from a massive scale rework that's being pushed back even further than 6.2 because it's too much. So yeah, that's it for this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I don't know.